We are back. I don't know if
We
it's
are
by
back.
popular demand, but we are back.
I don't know. Was there any popular demand?
I don't know for certain.
Or are we just using this as an excuse for you and I to have a chat?
I think we're using this. No. We're not using this as any sort of excuse at all, or tax write-off, or anything along those lines.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Oops.
Oh,
I just realized I am done with my iced coffee. Thanks.
excuse me.
Yeah. Did we wake you up?
I was online with Rick, Anthony, and J Flow last night. We're shooting some people up in the Uzbekistan Call of Duty.
War zones? In the war zones?
Yeah, in the plundering. We were plundering.
You're plundering. Okay.
Yeah, we've kind of modified our game a little bit, where instead of just looking for cash, we just go from bounty target to bounty target.
Nice.
And we just hunt. And of course, we get our behinds kicked by 12, 13-year-olds, but oh well.
Of course. I mean,
we have fun.
Why not? There you go.
But at one point during the game, around 11:30, my wife comes and gets out of bed and comes downstairs and knocks at my office door, and I'm like, "Did I wake you up? Was I too loud?" And she's like, "No, there's something scratching in the attic." I'm like, "Oh crap." So
was it one of the guys you hunted down? Did he come to find you?
No, it ended up wait a minute. Why is the tested in production? I'm checking the Twitch now, or is it just me that's oh no, that was just me that was frozen. Yeah. Anyway, so I put my shoes on and grabbed the flashlight and started going around the house trying to see whether or not there was a spot where the soffit had been lifted and maybe then found the Cloud Advocate on my roof.
Ah,
the raccoon. It's kind of like the little mascot for the Cloud Advocates.
Yes,
a trash panda or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
It was a big one, and it was not in the attic. It was on the roof.
Wow.
How the hell did it get on the roof is another. But then look, okay, now how do I get it down? And it's like it's midnight at that point, and then the dogs are inside and they start freaking out because I'm outside waving like with the hose, trying to hose it down and get it to convince it to come down, and with the flashlight and the hose, and the dogs are barking. The neighbors are like looking out their windows trying to figure out what I'm doing.
Yes. As Vizio MVP says, they do climb well.
Yeah, so I'm gonna call. I've looked it up this morning, and I'm gonna buy those spiky things, the spike strips.
Yes,
I'm gonna put the spike strips around the downspout, because I think that's where he goes up. He just grabs onto the downspout and goes up.
Yes, that can work. I also believe that Mr. Koozer's got a better idea. Drone swarm.
Yes. Or as Rick would say in America, we just shoot them with the 308.
I can totally see you stepping outside and going, UAV online.
I would have no problem with that, and except I think my neighbors would take it offense to me waving a rifle out in the middle of the.
Oh no! That's why they would love the drone swarm. I think they would love that. I think they would love that. I think that would go over so well. Your neighbors would just be so happy.
Well, speaking of my uncle, like I grew up in rural Quebec. So my uncle's sitting in him and two of my uncles are sitting on his back deck with a case of beer in between them in the summer today. And he's got a nice big garden. He's growing corn, tomatoes, like all kinds of stuff back there.
Yep.
And all of a sudden he sees this, either a raccoon or a big groundhog, kind of like poke its head up. So he grabs the gun, and the other uncle says, "Oh, no, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. The neighbors will hear the shot, and first thing we'll know is the cops will be here."
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, okay, he goes into the house and pulls out his hunting bow.
Okay. Okay.
So he's got his hunting bow on. He's got like it must be a $250 Kevlar arrow.
Okay.
And he waits for that little thing to pop its head up in the garden, and he lines it up and catches it like dead center. So the arrow goes basically all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Now the thing's not dead, and it tries to get back into its hole. But it's trying to go into the hole like you and I would go through a doorway with the 2x4 sideways.
Oh boy.
So it's not. So my other uncle, who's been drinking a lot of beverages,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
grabs a golf club on the patio,
Mm-hmm.
runs over, says, "I'll get him."
Oh gosh.
Swings at it, hits the arrow, breaks the arrow. The arrow comes loose. The groundhog goes back into the ground.
Oh god. No, 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 no. No, no, no.
And there goes a $250 arrow.
Oh.
Now I'd be more worried about putting holes in my roof.
Yeah, I could see that. When my parents moved to Montana, my dad really started using my old air rifle, pump up air rifle.
Oh yeah.
For going after the raccoons and other sort of, magpies.
Mr. Coozer's like, okay, a pie turret
Mhm.
with camera and image recognition. We can put some AI in there so it doesn't shoot at the dog, but it shoots at the raccoon.
Mhm.
And one of those Nerf turret.
Yep, you could.
But replace the Nerf darts with something a little bit more solid.
True. Or at least the tips.
Mr. Fresh Network just
yeah, Dave and Nicole are joined us. How are things going there in California? We're actually having a wonderful day here in the Pacific Northwest. It was got to the mid or low 70s yesterday. It's supposed to get to the high 70s, low 80s today and tomorrow.
It is 16 degrees right now, going towards about 18 today for us.
Nice. Nice.
And
yeah.
I'm trying to see if I can put that in
freedom units.
61 right now, going towards 70 for the afternoon. So should be fine.
Yeah. No, it's been, I have my new vents that I got installed running, and oh my goodness, all the upgrades I made to the RV over the winter are so worth it. I put in a new Max Air vent in the back, and I can run it at high speed and I barely hear it. Whereas my old one, I would run it at like low speed and it sounded, no joke, like you were turning over a Lycoming T-53 engine on a Huey helicopter. I mean, it you had the prime pumps going, and it was turning over the main compressor and getting good compression going.
Well, you're thinking about noise and fans and cooling stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The PVR that we have upstairs that was provided by the cable company,
mm-hmm.
because it's in a media cabinet, and it gets hot. So it came with these. I ordered this kit that mounts on the side of the cabinet. So you drill one, I think it's a 140 millimeter hole for a fan.
Mm-hmm.
And you put it in there, and it's got like a temperature sensor. When it reaches a certain temperature, it starts bringing in fresh air or exhausting, depending on which way you put it in.
Mm-hmm.
That thing was expensive.
Oh, I bet.
It was loud as hell.
Oh, yeah.
So I went online, Noctua.com,
mm-hmm.
and ordered some Noctua fans, so PC fans.
Mhm.
That I mounted in there. It's doing a better job. It doesn't come on nearly
Half
as
as much.
often because I guess it's moving more air in, but you can't hear it.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Literally. Didn't mean that. Didn't mean that, but it turned out all the best. Well, MVCO MVP is saying, so we're now venting about vents? Hell yes. We need airflow. And as you can see, one of the great things I have in here is I have two windows. There's a window behind my setup here and a window across. And I can get nice cross ventilation when there's a breeze going through the campgrounds. It's been amazing. I also have a vent in the ceiling up front here, and there's no fan in it. But if I open that and then run my fan in the back, I can get a nice draw of air through the whole. Yeah, airflow and J-flow. Yep, exactly. We can get a nice airflow through the whole RV and keep. There's a lot of times I don't have to run the air conditioner. Now, one of the great things about the campground I'm in is it's pretty heavily wooded. So I'm in the shade most of the time, which is great.
You're in the shade. So does that mean that the what Tesla internet? What is it? Was it called? Starlink.
Starlink.
Is the Starlink working if it's covered? If there's trees above you?
I don't need the Starlink right now. I get 4.5 bars on my T-Mobile 5G home internet. There must be a T-Mobile tower nearby because I get 4.5 bars. I'm getting.
Or just grab a long patch cable and just run it all the way to the tower.
Yeah. Well, I will say this though. My current configuration for my Starlink, I use a 25-foot flagpole, and I've replaced the top with a specially printed piece. Now I could have had the piece that you can buy the blueprint for $5.
Yep.
Or I spent 25 and had the guy print it for me. And it's a flagpole from the folks at Harbor Freight. You remove the top of the flagpole, you put this piece in, and my Starlink antenna just locks right into the top of that. And then it gets me 25 feet off the ground.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And
we had tried that in my father's house in Florida.
Yes.
Because he had basically he would grab his satellite dish from Ottawa and bring it to Florida and just reposition it in Florida. So bring his decoder and his dish so that he could get all of his Canadian TV and shows.
You want CBC, man.
But first time he did it, he went to Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever, and got this really long ABS or PVC pipe that was the same diameter that he could just put it in. And then Florida winds.
Yep, exactly.
All of a sudden, the dish is going like this, about 4 or 5 feet on each way, and my dad's like, I don't know why I'm not getting good reception.
Especially if you're using something like Schedule 40, which is so weak and would have probably just cracked at some point. I'll also bring up, I know Dave from Crush Networks actually forwarded me a couple links for RV solar installs. I've been reading a lot about that, Dave. I'll be calling you. We're going to be talking some solar installs. Definitely something for next year.
Is it Patch or is it Switch? One of the two was offline for a bit this week because he had his house refitted with a Tesla wall and
some solar
panels on the roof, and now they had to cut him off from the grid while they were doing all the installation and then plug him back in. And you know how the power company will be.
Oh yeah.
You get the message saying we'll be at your house between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m.
Exactly.
And they show up at 7:55 kind of thing.
Yep. So yeah, in fact, I remember chatting with him on text saying, hey, if you actually, because we joked about it last week, but I was like, no, seriously, if you need a place to work, I gotta, I've got the picnic table outside. I got a couple camp chairs. We can get you set up, and I'm on the internets here.
You know, that wouldn't be such a bad deal to sit in a lawn chair, make a little fire, have a brewski on the side, laptop.
Not saying that it's been like that this week, but it's been raining like crazy, frankly, up until yesterday. So yeah, last night was the first night I got to sit outside, and it felt wonderful. I did unfortunately realize I chose the wrong site here at the campground.
Yeah.
VR
in a hammock. So if you had like a VR set, you could just lie in a hammock and
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I could think about that, but no, I chose the wrong site here because my RV is too close to the fire pit, so I can't have a fire in this one. Luckily, I'm leaving next Thursday and getting a new site when I come back.
yeah.
So,
yeah, I got, well, speaking of fires, I was lighting up the green egg last weekend to make a couple of chickens. And the fire department showed up. Again. It's not the first time.
That's kind of wrong in a funny way. So.
Well, when you start it, like if the coals are a little damp, it smokes a lot.
Yeah. No, I get it.
There's really no flames in there. It's just a little there's
whole bunch of smoke. Yeah.
So some of the neighbors saw the smoke, smelled the smoke, called the fire department, and went, something's burning around here.
I just have to respond to Mr. Kuzer. No, cloud advocates do no work. They don't do anything.
It's a family show.
It's a family show.
You're gonna wake up the grumpy old man now if you keep going like that.
Hey,
we do lots of work. Sometimes it's not work that's visible, like you don't like it, like we don't at the end of the week we don't have a product.
Is not visible to people, huh? Okay.
Mr. sit in the background and only reply to Sev ones or Sev zeros.
Anyway.
No. No.
Even Joey knows better. No, I was kidding.
Well, yeah, because he's an advocate too now.
True enough. It's been interesting days recently. Just a lot of work on our plates, and some of it was finally talked about externally. How we're doing our Secure Future initiative.
Yeah,
doing a lot of work. One of the things that was brought up in that, I don't know if we announced it or it did get announced, but they talked about some of the things we're working on. One of the big things is how we're securing our engineering systems. I am from One Engineering Systems, so
yeah.
That's a lot of the work I've been working on is around how do we secure our engineering systems. It's gonna make
how do we secure systems in general, not just engineering systems? Because
I understand that, but for us, engineering systems are our bread and butter. How do we build Windows? How do we build it securely? How do we build Office? How do we build Azure?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of interesting opportunities coming soon to talk about that.
Actually, if the chat could get into this as well, because I want to know what we on our end. So for advocates, when we create demo environments so that we can show community, we can show customers, here's what you can do with this, here's what you can do with that. Often, and sometimes we use like demo application or workloads. Like we found that a lot of our demos, because they're demo environments, they're not hardened.
Right.
So now we're revisiting that to add policies and block, let's say like RDP from all of the VMs, and we make sure that you have to connect through proper VPN, like Point to Site
or
eh,
Bastion or
or Bastion or anything like that. We're
Mhm.
walking away from for like when you're doing API and API management and you have like a SQL backend to make sure that the connection strings don't have um, secrets hard coded in them, and then so
Yes.
we're kind of rebuilding all of our demo environments that we're used on a regular basis. But what are like everyday people, well, everyday people like IT professionals out there doing the work on a day-to-day basis where you need to have like a testing environment or something where before you roll out like a patch, you need to roll it in to a testing environment. Like, are those environments as locked down as the prod
Production.
environments?
Yeah, good question. That's a great question. I know when I had test environments for SharePoint when I was the last kind of operational role that I had was running SharePoint custom portals.
Mhm.
And we had test environments, but our test environments were nothing like production as far as all of the settings. And so it really made it difficult to do patch testing because, oh, hey, it worked in test. And then we put it in production and all of a sudden test or production's offline because we
Yeah.
have a different configuration. Um, I know for what we do now on my team, we're doing a lot of infrastructure as a service,
Mhm.
and we're doing a lot of uh, well, I mean, and we've talked about it actually at Ignite. I'm going to be talking about it Build and Ignite this year. Platform engineering. There's a
Yeah.
great conversation from Amanda Silver. She's my MVP or my VP, not my MVP. My VP.
She's an
Um,
MVP to us.
she is one of the best speakers. I love that she is one of the prolific speakers of our organization of the developer division. And we talked about platform engineering, and I'm actually, that's one of the things I'm hoping to try and get some speaking slots maybe at Ignite around platform engineering because that's
Oh,
what
I
I.
don't know. It's if only you knew somebody who was connected to the content team.
Yeah, I wonder if I could talk to a few folks. But the platform engineering, one of the things that we've done is we've actually made it so that we have even where we're running our source code management system that is quite literally from 1997. So it's a very legacy source code management system.
That
And
Visual Studio Source, whatever was it called there? I even remember. I
no,
don't even
this
remember
is
the
even
name.
pre that.
Source Safe. No.
No, this is even pre that. It's
Oh God.
it's a variant of the Perforce source control system that we had. We actually bought their source code in 1997 and made our own version internally that we've kept up to date over the years. And the interesting thing for that I think is interesting is we now run it as a cloud service, meaning we don't patch any of the servers anymore. We redeploy every month.
Yeah.
We if we have a problem with a server, we redeploy it. We it will hold on to the old server to do troubleshooting to look at it, but to get the customer back online, we redeploy. We treat it as a cloud service.
Well, this is something that I've been preaching for decades now.
I understand that, but now
Uh,
now we
Treat
have the
your servers
capability.
like cattle, not pets.
Yes, I mean, yes, yes, but it's not just that we can do that. We actually have pipelines. We're actually it makes more sense in this modern day and age because we're actually able to do it not just with our public cloud resources. We're able to do it with private cloud too. Uh, we can do it on Azure Stack HCI. In fact, we actually have a variable in our template that says, is this going to Azure Stack HCI or is it going to Azure Public? So it's easy enough for us to do deployments. It changes, like I said, it changes patching, to a 5-minute failover of the data drives from one
I,
server
I
to another.
I remember when I was outside of Microsoft, pre-Microsoft life, I was
Hmm.
working for a multinational, and after a while, we noticed that our support costs were going through the roof in terms of time
Yep.
that our support people were spending trying to fix laptop and client that were misbehaving. So we put in this policy.
Hmm.
We automated it, and everything else was so that um, no data was stored locally. So it was stored, and but in a way it was synced to the, so if somebody grabbed their laptop and left, the data would come with them.
Right.
But if you lose the hard drive or if you lose the machine, that's fine because everything is synced to a network drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we made a policy, and we told everyone, like, every data that you have has to be saved in these critical path folders. Those are the ones we're going to sync.
Right.
Anything outside of that, we don't care, and we don't.
It won't be
And
backed
so
up.
we would send somebody over.
Hmm.
They would try to troubleshoot it. If it took more than 5 to 10 minutes to troubleshoot, they'd plug it into the network, pixie boot it, and drop a new image on it.
Yep.
Let the person log back in and let the data sync back.
Yep.
We got so much shit from the VPs
Okay.
because they had family pictures, they had all kinds of stuff. They would put in some like little games for their kids to use on the laptop to like.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
And I got brought in at one point. I'm like, you can't do this. This is my machine. And I
Yeah.
got into
Exactly.
trouble. My grumpy old man came out, my inner Pierre. And I told him, I said, no, it's not your machine. It's the corporation's asset, and we're letting you use it.
Yeah. Yep.
But
They don't seem to they don't seem to understand. A lot of folks don't seem to understand that. But, you know.
but after 6 months, we reran all of our reports in terms of support cost,
Hmm.
and they all changed their minds because our support cost went way down. Because instead of spending
Oh
two
yeah.
hours troubleshooting a machine, we'd spend 15, 20 minutes re-imaging it.
Yep.
And within 15 minutes, the employee is back to being productive versus just sitting there waiting for you to be done
Oh
fixing it.
yeah. I actually have a process now with given a couple of different technologies. If I'm rebuilding a work machine or if I'm rebuilding a dev box.
Mhm.
And with the dev box, it's wonderful because we get these cloud-based development machines that are I can use from anywhere. And I can have it built in about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm now getting my personal machines, I can get them built in about an hour and have it install Windows, install all my apps, remove some of the things that I just, that are part of the Windows install that I don't need. Um, and then get the machine up and running for me. I can be up and running inside of an hour. I've stopped troubleshooting my own machines. I just rebuild them. Why not?
Typically, every 6 months, I
Mhm.
put this little thing in
Yep,
and
exactly.
boot from it and just say reimage it.
Yep. And like a Go Gadget 360 just pointed out, for personal, I have a batch file with a bunch of WinGets that get me a lot of stuff, and OneDrive brings in all the important stuff for work. That's what DevBox is for. Exactly. We actually have I have a vendor working on a project with me. We actually set him up on a DevBox so that he could be immediately useful. And then when he rolls off, we'll have the DevBox be able to double check and make sure we get all this anything that we might need off of it, and then delete it when we're done.
Actually, um, WinGet, as he mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
will be built in and supported on Windows Server 2025.
Excellent. I can't wait for that.
The problem we had in the past is that WinGet was delivered through the Microsoft Store.
Right.
and server doesn't
Have
support
the
the
store.
store.
Right. Exactly.
So they've gone around that problem and figured this out. So now, if you're looking at DSC or desired configuration with
Desired
WinGet,
state configuration.
desired. What did I say?
You said desired configuration. You forgot the
Oh.
state.
The state, yeah, desired state configuration with PowerShell. Like you
Mhm.
can do it with PowerShell DSC modules, but you can also do it with policy and WinGet. Not quite as powerful, but it'll
You know what
get you
else?
going in a heartbeat.
You know what else you can do it with, by the way? Just gonna say GitHub Actions and Azure DevOps pipelines.
Oh yeah,
They are great. That's how we build all of our servers is YAML files in Azure DevOps pipelines.
I hate YAML.
Oh, get over it.
Any coding language that gets broken by a space should be taken to the gravel pit. To quote a U.S.
Just get your
governor.
extension in VS Code and deal with it, okay, buddy? Anywho,
Like every once in a while, just to screw with some people, what I've done is you go to the YAML files and you replace a space with a blank character.
oh, you're cruel. You're a cruel man. You are cruel.
What is it? It's like the Alt 254, I think. I can't remember the number of the blank character.
Yeah.
So it's not a space, it's a character. It's just there's nothing in it.
Right. Exactly.
So YAML fails. So they look it up and they look at all the indenting and like, what the hell?
See, but that's where if you have a proper YAML extension, it'll show that weird character and say, this isn't right.
You'll have that little squiddly line underneath it.
And then you'll look at it and you go, why is that? Okay. You go in, you backspace, you put the space back in. Okay, it's fine.
Then look at the logs and see who edited it last.
Oh, don't worry. That'll be done. That'll be done. Well, we're halfway into the show and we haven't really talked about much.
Oh, yeah.
Other than the testing in production that we're doing.
Well, isn't that the point?
True enough. It's been but we haven't talked about streaming stuff, and there's some things on the horizon that we're talking through a little bit, or you and I talked through in the producers meeting. We now have a weekly producers meeting for Pierre and I just shoot the stuff on the on Wednesdays, have a cup of coffee and chat and say, hey, what's going on in your world?
Yep.
But we've been talking a lot about and we've been kind of going yes, the beer summit. We've been going back to the Windows Server Summit that was, if just to remind everybody of the URL, there it is, aka.ms Windows Server Summit 2024.
And there's a nice little session on WinGet. So it's a 15-minute delivered by Demetrius Mellon, which is the PM for WinGet. No slides, just demos. It's part of there's
Very
two
cool.
sessions that are tied together. It's a 15-minute session. It was really cool.
Excellent. That's awesome. I have to admit I've been because of my daily job, I've had to step away from some of the newer technologies because of what we're trying to go back and re-support and everything. So it's been I've wanted to catch up and try and catch up on some of the Windows Server stuff here. That would be a good way to do it for sure. But we're also talking about some of the learnings that you guys had from the Windows Server Summit. And maybe they are things that people can use in their own virtual or hybrid events. And so
well, the number one in terms of when we're looking at content and recording the content itself, we are now going to make it for any future event a tech check and a dry run mandatory.
Excellent.
because what we did for these events is we sent everybody a document that said, all right, if you have Windows, and I can share this document with everyone.
That'd be a
If
great
you're
idea.
interested, I'll find the URL in a second. But clear your desktop, remove all your 100 icons off your desktop. It's confusing. Clear your system tray. Remove all the icons in your system tray. If you can, remove the time and date.
Right.
So that it's okay. Make every demo full screen. Hide your favorites. Clear your browser history. For obvious reason in some cases.
Or use a alternate login, so you have a clear
Or
history.
or the profile in Edge.
Yep. Exactly.
What was the other thing? Oh yeah, resolution. 1080p, not 4K, not 720p, 1080p. So get a separate like I have my big 4K monitor here, but I never record any content on this because I record 4K content and then you play it on your phone or you play it on a tablet and it's tiny bitty.
Yep.
So we
you would make me do this at that point.
Yeah. I will get that broadcast set up. There we go. Okay. Where is the chat? Let me put it in the chat.
Okay. He's finding it. There we go. Nice.
And like put your browser at 125% zoom. Light mode only. Like I know we all like the dark mode, and most of my stuff is in dark mode, but dark mode doesn't always translate well, depending on the colors, depending on what you have. Doesn't always translate well to recorded media.
True enough.
So yes, I know we like a dark mode. Yes, I get that. But then you get like a light yellow on a dark background. Sometimes it's hard to read for everyone. If you're looking at like making your content accessible to everyone.
Right.
Anyway, exactly. So the broadcast setup has all that information about where to place the camera. Eye level or just a little bit above.
Yep. Exactly.
Not the laptop camera with your laptop light open so that you end up with the up nose view.
Oh, even worse than that is when the Dell moved the camera to the bottom of the screen.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I saw one monitor where the camera was at the top of the keyboard, and when you would turn it on, it would pop up. Yep. And when you were able to like close it, so it was kind of like privacy. But then you got this thing at a really weird angle underneath you.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, yeah. And of course, we say put earbuds in. So like you get cheap earbuds. You don't have to get the $400 AirPods. But we got a lot of with the big microphone. And I understand that the sound is good quality.
Right.
But you got to think about not just the sound. Sound is very, very important. We will excuse bad video, like a grainy, low resolution video, if the sound is good. Right. If the sound is awful, I don't care how much the rest of your production value is, it's just never going to fly.
Right.
Anyway.
By the way, another random IT guy has a great point. Dark mode has issues, accessibility, and has issues with compression and bitrate downgrade by streaming providers.
Oh, really? I never thought about it that way, though.
Yeah, yeah. It's you see it a lot, especially in compression when you have a very dark area. You'll get like this wavy pattern in it.
But isn't it supposed to be the other way around, where because it doesn't have to it doesn't have to send any signals in terms of colors for that area.
But it just senses some sort of color. That's why that's the problem. It
Yeah.
shouldn't sense it, but it senses something. Yeah. So
That's why I'm looking for my next monitor to get one of those OLED monitors with dimmable zones.
yeah, yep, exactly. I want to go over something real quick here, and it's one of the things that we talked about in our in our how do I put it our producer meeting. We were talking about how um finding a good way I mean how to, so I think actually let's talk about this. Streaming on multiple platforms.
Yes.
Should you do that?
I am slowly going towards, well, I let me give you the consulting answer. It depends.
I didn't know I invited Wes on the show. Dang it.
It depends. Because what are you measuring?
True.
If you're measuring engagement,
Mhm.
then no. Because if you're like right now, we're going to two
We have
streaming platform. We're
We
on
have
Twitch
two streaming
and
platforms, Twitch and YouTube both.
yeah. So on YouTube, are we? How many others other than you are there right now?
No one else other than me.
So what's the point?
Agreed, except for we get the automatic save of the live feed file.
Okay,
That's it. That's it.
but that's it. And I understand if you want to do this because you want to be able to have the video on demand immediately after the broadcast, then go for it.
Yes, agreed.
If you're looking at views,
Mhm.
then pepper it.
Let's say live views. Let's
Yeah.
be specific here. If you're
So
trying to
put it
get
on
live
LinkedIn,
engagement,
put it on X, formerly the artist formerly known as Twitter. Put it on live on TikTok. Put it on Facebook. Put it everywhere. If all you're going to measure is how many people are watching it,
Mhm.
or how many people it comes across their feed, because there's a difference when you're measuring views and measuring. Like in our case, we're now measuring percentage of the live viewed.
Okay.
The average. So anything above 40-50%, because if somebody comes across their feed, they watch the first 3 seconds and they decide it's not for me and they move on, there's still a view.
Yeah.
Which is why, and Rick mentioned it in our last one, we talked about this. It's a hard thing to decide how you measure. So should you stream to multiple platforms? It depends on what you're trying to measure or where you want your impact to be.
Yep.
If you go to, for example, the Windows Server event, if we had gone the whole week on LinkedIn, on Twitch, and on YouTube, let's say just pick those three.
Okay.
Well, if somebody's watching it on Twitch and asking a question, but you're SME or you're subject matter expert who's in Redmond, now has to monitor 3 sets of chat. So as they're engaged in one conversation on one chat, maybe they're not having a time to go and check the other chats. So you end up with one with good engagement and the other ones that feel like they're being
ignored.
Yeah. So we were on two. We're on Technical Community and YouTube, but we had not us, me, but we had a moderator on our YouTube that would relay the questions to the chat on Technical Community and then cut and paste the answers back. So we had somebody monitoring it. So
Gotcha.
when you're thinking about broadcasting to multiple services, how are you going to address the engagement while you're live?
Great question.
And if you're if you're like just the two of us, like right now you're on YouTube and Twitch and I'm on Twitch, it's fairly manageable.
It is.
We got but we're not the type of events where we're going to hit 600 people on our
Asking
live and
questions.
600 people doing questions after questions, and
Yeah.
and at the same time you have to like worry about bots and trolls and everything else.
Right.
So the more you go to multiple platforms, the more that ups the complexity.
Yes. Agreed.
So is it worth it?
Good question.
Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not.
Yep. And it goes back to what you said. It depends on what you're measuring. If you're measuring
Depends
the
on measurement.
engagement, I would say stick to one platform and point everybody to it.
Yep.
If you're just worried about number of views, grab every platform.
Yeah.
And we actually have Mr. Coozers over on the YouTube platform and actually responded there. And he said, yep, dual platform. Can this be considered double pen? Matt, Mr. Coozer, come on. All right. Time
Oh
that
no,
boy
I'm not
out.
saying that out
Time him
loud.
out. Time him out. Time him out.
See the trolls we were just talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
No, but
no
I'd love to.
worries.
Let's see if we can line up Mr. Campbell
That'd be a great conversation.
for upcoming episode where we can discuss satisfaction measurement.
That would be really good. He does several. He plans several community events.
Well, no, it's because he's got a unique perspective. Because not only does he manage community events like in person, he manages hybrid events that are part in person, part online. But he also has several podcasts that he's part of.
Yeah, the .NET Rocks, of course, everybody's favorite for us in
Run as Radio.
And then there's this other thing he does over on the Twit network, something,
Oh, he's over there with the other twits.
Windows Geekly, something like that. I don't know. Some guy named Paul. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, Mr. Throt. If he's watching, hi.
I doubt Paul's watching us.
Well, if somebody just mentions him in the chat, maybe his alerts will tell him that he's being discussed somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure that'd come up. But
Yeah.
one thing that we're lucky, we're utilizing the IT Pro StreamYard channel, which is a business account, and it's a high-end business account. One thing I did want to talk about, if you're even a small event and you want to have that view engagement, you're going to need something to rebroadcast. You either have to set up OBS to use some sort of rebroadcaster or use something like StreamYard. But the great thing about it is StreamYard can be actually set up here. I'm going to just grab my screenshot here. Can actually be set up, real quick. I'm just going to say this. It's a hashtag not sponsored, even though StreamYard, reach out to us. They have capabilities depending on how many people you want to show, how many streams you want to do. One of the key things that was key for you guys with you all in the Windows Server Summit was doing the pre-recorded streams. Even at the basic level, you can do a pre-recorded stream for 1 hour. That's pretty cool.
Yes, but there's a limit as to how many you can schedule.
Right. There's 5. I believe that's 5. If we take a look there. Yeah, it was 5.
Yeah.
And then the professional, which is $45 a month, you could do 2 hours, but you can only do 5 scheduled at a time.
Yes.
With 250 people viewing. Then you have to jump up to the business accounts at 99. That's when you get 1,000. You get pre-recorded 4 and 10 scheduled. So if you have like a full day kind of event, you might just for 1 month grab it for $100. That's a nice thing. Treat it like our streaming services, where get it for as long as you need it, and then shut it off
and cancel it.
And cancel it. You may only need it for a month, and then obviously they have where you can do up to growth. We're in a business account because, of course, so many teams and cloud advocacy uses this account. Plus,
well, this is also comes back to our first topic today when we were talking about what we do in terms of right now are securing the platform.
Mm-hmm.
The business account allows us SSO,
Nice.
which the others don't.
Yes.
And as per our internal corporate policies, we can't use a service that caches our credentials.
Correct.
So we had to go business.
Mm-hmm.
Again, yeah, it's not everybody's cup of tea, and there are other ways of doing that. And I did take a look at it. I haven't had time to really do it. I'll make sure it's in my notes for an upcoming show.
Okay.
Is using OBS and a Lua script to read a comma separated file that has the time and the location of the locally cached video,
Right.
so that you can run in OBS and say, okay, run this script, and it will play video number 1. And then if it's scheduled for half an hour and you've got 23 minutes of content, which is something we ended up with at the Windows Server Summit, it will play a slate or a rolling deck or something in between that says, hey, this is what's coming. No, until the end of the scheduled programming, and then we'll jump to the new one, run a bumper, and then play the next one. I'm trying to build something like that to simulate what we had in StreamYard, because not everybody can afford that business account, especially if you're doing small community stuff.
Oh yeah, especially if you're doing an event, I would say like a SharePoint Saturday where it's totally free.
Yeah.
You know, as a SharePoint speaker for many years, I would fly and do these events for free. I wasn't being paid to do them, and because I was supporting of the community. And I know Dave at Crush Networks is like, Jared, get your butt down here, or we can still use you at our events. I'm expecting that to pop up here in a second.
Well, after the show, Jared will be going to the cab of the Jayhawk, and he's on his way. Just go south.
No.
South.
No. I'm here for another week in this lovely space here. Yeah. But it's something I've reminded myself I need to start taking a look at that again. I enjoyed going to those events. I really enjoyed speaking at them.
I thrive on them. A lot of our audience and a lot of our IT folks are introverts. I'm an extrovert. I need people. That's why the pandemic was so much harder on me, because being locked in the house and not seeing anyone, not talking to anyone, really took its toll.
Yeah, no, I get it. It really sucked.
But okay, let's get back to the topic.
Yes.
If you're doing it on OBS using a stream, a script, or if you're using, let's say, another easy way of doing it is VLC, then the VLC plugin for OBS, where in VLC you create a playlist, and it just plays them one after the other.
Yeah.
Except that on those ones, when you do your edit, you really have to pad that video to hit like 30 minutes, or basically to match your schedule.
Yes.
The only thing is that you become a single point of failure.
Ouch. Yes.
We did it with StreamYard, because even if my whole internet went down and I was running it, because my schedule is already in StreamYard, I could go offline completely and the show would still be going on.
Yes.
And we ran into those when the early days of like 4 or 5 years ago, when we're doing AZ Update, and we started with this podcast where we were running in from OBS, and if something went wrong,
whoever was hosting, bye-bye.
Yep. Yeah. Now it just happens that every once in a while, Pierre shuts down a browser and brings down a stream.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but since you did point that out, I mean, not everything is perfect.
No.
Oh, look at that. We have a lovely bot person trying to spam.
Oh, really? He's going to increase our viewers.
Yeah, exactly.
He increased it by 1.
Yep. There we go. Spam. Fix. Tell us more. Spammer. Bye-bye. Nice to have you join us. See you later. Blocking. And done. Boom. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Anyway, that's one thing when you do a virtual event, have the bots and the trolls.
Mhm.
It's
Exactly.
it's really a problem.
It is. It really is. And of course, their message is, because I've already gotten rid of them.
Yeah,
There
it's
we go.
gone.
There we go. Now it's gone. Anywho,
Anywho, we didn't talk too much about random spending, and because that's the other show.
yeah. Well, I did do a little bit of random spending, but we could talk about that in 2 weeks. Maybe. 2
Yeah,
weeks
you
actually.
cheaped out on the cheap phone, didn't you?
I changed some of my cell service stuff, and we could talk about that as I go forward. And yeah. Thank you, batch reporting tool. um uh I changed some things, and due to security policies, and I think it'd be an interesting topic for our discussion here.
Yeah, because we all end up with
Several devices.
the double fisted thing.
I have, remember when I was on the road, because I had so many different carriers, because I didn't want to be caught in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I had like 4 or 5 phones, and now I'm down to 2. So to talk about how I've reduced that, and my future plans as far as that's
Yeah. And maybe we'll talk about. I'm very strongly considering a replacement or an add-on to my recording kit to go with a shotgun microphone from above versus the big white in-your-face microphone.
interesting stuff. We got some future topics. We also have some future folks. I have a few folks I do want to reach out to see if they would come on here and talk about various topics. If you have an idea for us,
Well, not
please
only
feel
that,
free.
if you have an idea, but if you have a topic that, if you're running a stream, if you're running a show, a podcast, or anything like that, and you want to come and tell us how you're
Mhm.
doing it and the challenges that you have and how you're addressing them.
Yeah, come join us. I There's a few folks I follow that I am slowly but surely reaching out to talk how they do their setup. I know there's one gentleman I've been meaning to get hit on here. I've talked with him 2 times on messaging, and he said he would be willing to talk if he's available on a day when we're running. He runs an incredible channel on YouTube, and
Yep.
he talks about things that get demonetized. He talks about airplane accidents, because he used to be a accident investigator in the Air Force. And
Yep.
he's an airline pilot, and he's, holds a lot of certifications. He's very knowledgeable. But because he's talking about a topic that is a depressing topic, they demonetize it. So I want to bring him on to talk about how he had to change his monetization. He went to Patreon. I mean, there are other alternatives, and how that helped him keep his channel going. So, yes, Go Gadget 360 spammer count has been action on. So I want to talk with him. We could try and see if we can get Brad Sams, because he actually just switched to OBS from other software, and why he switched to it.
Yeah.
For First Ring Daily, that kind of stuff. Yes,
And
Aspen
for
Forster Blanco Lirio.
yeah, and for desktop settings and lighting tutorials and stuff like that, I'm just putting a link in now. There's a YouTube channel, Chris Mayer, like customized desks and customized lighting process, and like it is really interesting. I've been enjoying his content a lot as well. So
Yep. Yep.
And it's past the hour, so some of us have to go back to work.
Yes, or some of us have to actually go to work. Yeah. So, it's been a great day. It's been awesome catching up with you. It's been awesome catching up with everyone in the chat room. And try and have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And we got Patch and Switch next week. Build is upcoming, so schedules may get weird around build. Keep an eye out on all the announcements. Yes, John, we know you're Mr. Retired. It's okay. I don't want to hear it. But
Someday we'll get there.
we will. So I think we'll start that outro music, and we'll say thank you to Mr. Kuzer, Vizio MVP. We saw Aspen Forrester, GoGo Gadget 360, Janiscu 7, of course, another random IT guy, Dave and Nicole from Crush Networks. Thank you all for joining us live here today.
Drapsnat.
Drapsnat. Well, I'm looking at the people who actually talked in chat, because I want to make sure we get them.
Hey, some people just like to soak in the information and be. So you can't discriminate.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
All right. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you for Patch and Switch next Friday.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.